Yo, 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 what's up, y'all? You are now tuned into another episode of the podcast with Tigmatic, and we are here. As promised, folks, I told you guys that Brother Cornel West was coming to talk about his run for the presidency of the United States of America, and he is here. So before we even talk about anything, I wrote an introduction, so I want you guys to tell me what y'all think. Y'all can put it in the comments. And Dr. West, I would love if you tell me what you thought of my introduction once I'm done. So bear with me, folks. I'm going to read it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Dr. Cornel West, affectionately known to many as Brother West, is a Dietrich Bonhoeffer Chair and Union Theological Seminary. Dr. West teaches on the works of Dietrich. How do you say this word?
Oh, that Dietrich
Bonhoeffer.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
I said it right. As well as courses in philosophy of religion, African American critical thought, and a wide range of subjects, including, but no means limited to, the classes of philosophy, politics, cultural theory, literature, and music. He has a passion to communicate to a vast variety of publics in order to keep alive the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy of telling the truth and bearing witness to love and justice. Dr. West is the former professor of the practice of public philosophy at Harvard University and professor emeritus at Princeton University. Cornel West graduated magna cum laude from Harvard in 3 years and obtained his MA and PhD in philosophy at Princeton. He has written over 20 books with 13 edited. He is best known for his classics, Race Matters, Democracy Matters, and his memoir, Brother West, Living and Loving Out Loud. His most recent book, Black Prophetic Fire, offers an inflicting look at 19th and 20th century African American leaders and their visionary legacies. Dr. West has partnered with masterclass.com to provide teachings on several influential courses, including a class with Pharrell Williams on empathy. Masterclass first ever multi-instructor class on Black history, Black freedom, and Black love, as well as Dr. West's standalone class on philosophy. Visit www.cornelwest.com and click the Masterclass banner to learn more.
And
so without further ado, we have presidential candidate, Dr. Cornel West.
That part. Make sure
I'm sorry, I was a little tongue twisted on my words. You know, that one word, I never heard of it before. I'm not going to act like I did, but I would love to know what it means. So if you could tell me what it means.
He said, what do it mean? I don't know neither. I'm going to learn too with y'all.
Blessed to be in conversation with you, my dear brother Tig, and my very dear sister, Jamie the Fox. You're John Coltrane country. That's North Carolina. Ain't nothing like that.
Hey. So Dr. West, tell the people a bit about yourself formally, before we get into the questions about, the politics of things and your run for the presidency. For those that don't know, because I do have the youth that ask, and they've been sending me inboxes like, who is Cornel West? Who is Cornel West? So tell them the only way that you can best. Tell it like it is, brother.
Well, I said, I am who I am because somebody loved me. You see, I come out of my mama, Irene B. West, and my father, Clifton West, and my pastor, Willie P. Cook of Shiloh Baptist Church on the Chocolate Sacramento, California. And we had at the Black Panther Party right next door to the church. So when I was growing up in the 70s, I had Jesus on the one hand, and I had justice on the other. And at the center of it was a love of the people. John Coltrane's Love Supreme ain't just a song, it's a way of being in the world. And we ain't even got to Curtis Mayfield yet.
Right.
That's
Oh,
where
that's cool.
that's really who I am. That's who I am. And I'm blessed to be who I am. And that's why I'm blessed to be talking to you all. Because when I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about each and every one of you. Because y'all come out of the
Hey,
same tradition, same churches, mosques, synagogues, same nightclubs, same purple lights, slow dancing in the garage, hanging out on the corner, all
yeah,
manifestations of who we are as a black people.
that's right. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. That's a pretty dope introduction as a president. Being presidential, I like it. I love it actually. Um, okay. So tell us a bit about growing up. Well, like what was that like for you?
Well, I was so blessed because I had so much love coming at me. Now, I had, of course, a lot of gangster in me, so I got kicked out of school when I was in third grade. Couldn't find a school to go to. Finally got connected with another school and was able to begin to soar like an eagle. And so, in that sense, I've always been one who recognized that all of us are cracked vessels.
Right.
All have various challenges. All of us are in some way walking miracles. Now, I know your story, Brother Tig. We won't go into the details, but you got a testimony.
That story.
Absolutely. That's why I tell people as much as I can. And I want to get into motivational speaking to talk to the youth, and help as many people as I can because, I survived something. And when I died, I saw some things. So, continue though. We'll talk about that later on in the episode.
Do no problem. Because the thing is that we always want to be true to what we've been through. And
Right.
at the time, want to use whatever we can to help somebody else, to provide some insight for somebody else. Because everybody got a testimony, but it's a different testimony.
That's
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. Because even myself, to speak a little bit with y'all, being a mother since 15 and growing up in Philadelphia, it was really hard just keeping our heads up. And he's from Philadelphia as where, but being in a whole different town, you get to see how people just greet you more so with love. We want to spread that all over the world, even when it comes to knowledge from our scholars and our doctors. We don't want to just dismiss it because it's not the way that we used to learn it. So,
And soon to be president. I'm claiming it for you, I'm claiming
facts,
it
it's
for you.
already yours.
Speaking it into fruition.
Let's go.
All right. So what was mom and dad like?
Brother, I don't have a language for my mama because the language is short. It's inadequate. It's just like the words collapse in the face of her love and her grace and her dignity and her gut bucket sophistication and her dedication to her kids and her grandkids. And that's also true for my father. I will never be one half the human being that my mama or my daddy were. Now, mom passed 3 years ago and dad passed ago, but they ever in my heart, ever in my soul. And part of their afterlife is at work in my life because the
Exactly.
side of me and what the love that they poured into me remains a part of me.
Right.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. All
I
right.
have a
So
question. Can I ask a quick question?
go ahead. Sure. You
Plus,
already know.
y'all listen. Y'all get me going. Y'all love y'all energy, and plus, the women need to hear from the kings more. So, I want to know, how do you juggle running for presidency in just everyday life? Like, how do you do that and still get to, communicate online with people and other things that you have to do?
Well, that's a wonderful question. One is that grandmama's prayers and my mama's prayers and my wife's kids' prayers keep it going. There's no doubt about that. Uh, it's somebody got to demonstrate
I can't hear.
at all the time, and I'm going from one city to the next. I was in Dallas this yesterday, on my way to California, having this dialogue all before I go. Move constantly. What is like a blues man, jazz woman? You know what I mean? You
Your audio is
The
going in
vibe,
and out.
right.
Your
I
audio
was
is
just,
going in and out.
is that right? How is it now?
Oh,
that's
it's
better.
better now. Better
Better.
now. We couldn't
Okay.
hear you.
No, but what I was saying is like a blues man or a jazz woman. When you go from town to town, you give it everything you got. You speak your truth and bear your witness, and then jump on the bus or the plane and keep moving. But most important,
Hey.
want the Lord to use you in such a way that the gifts that you have are something that you give to others. That
Oh yes. I
Father,
swear that's how Tig make me feel. I'm so happy to be here with y'all tonight because Brother West, you talk exactly like what this gentleman stands for, and I'm just happy I get to be a part of this with y'all. But go ahead, continue.
we are blessed to have you as part of this
We're
conversation.
blessed to have you for sure. You know what I'm saying? You already know that. We talk about that all the time. And
Man.
I'm blessed to have you here, Dr. West, for sure. So, like I said to you before, um, I think that, what you've done over decades will go down in the history books. And I'm appreciative to have seen it. I'm 42. I've seen the majority of my whole life. So, I appreciate everything you've done for our people. So, without further ado, I'm going to get into the questions, um, and we're going to talk about that. Um, okay, you ran for an influential voice in academia, activism, and public discourse for decades, right? What inspired you to run for the presidency in the first place?
Well, the thing is, it's true. For 50 years, I've been blessed to run for justice and run for Jesus. And it's been in the cell. I've taught in prison for 51 years. So I have wonderful, wonderful relations with my precious brothers behind bars. And I learn as much from them as they learn from me. So I'm in a lot of different contexts. So electoral politics is just another context for the same love, same courage, same vision, and same witness. It just spills over. That's all. When I looked at the presidential voices and I said, who's talking about poverty? Who's talking about mass incarceration? Who's really talking about dilapidated schools? Who's talking about indecent housing? Who's
Right,
talking about young folk who are going through hell and high water and not enough spotlight and limelight on them? Who's
What?
talking about Gaza in terms of genocide? 6,000 months, like all it genocide. Connection to Gaza and the
but you're breaking up again. You're breaking up again. I don't know why. For some reason, it's breaking up.
Cause see, that's what's going to happen, sometimes, but that's all right. Try to like I say when you up closer to the camera, it works better and it's not breaking up as much. Yeah, let's see how
Yeah.
this go with you. He look, he like
is this my head
I
getting
love you.
just a little better though?
Yes,
Yes,
we
it
can hear you way
is.
better. For some reason, it keeps going in and out as you speak.
Right.
And
Lord, I'm sorry about that though.
you're
It's
fine. You're
fine.
fine. It's,
Well,
we kind of went through the same thing with your VP running mate.
oh,
As
so
she was talking about some of these things, we started to have technical difficulties out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
usually, when we do these interviews, they run smoothly for the most part. So we know what that is for real. For real, they're trying to stop a message, but nothing won't stop this train.
I
Continue,
It's
Doctor.
know for what I
Brother.
was
Continue, brother.
indeed, indeed, my brother and sister. No, but what I was saying was to raise the issues of poverty, mass incarceration, dilapidated housing, in these school systems that don't educate, too often miseducate.
right.
God, those are the issues that neither party wants to touch. And
Right.
out of the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X and Fannie Lou Hamer and Stokely Carmichael and Diane Nash and James Lawson Jr., all of those fellas, justice seekers. And I'm as a Christian, I come out of the 25th chapter of Matthew. What you do unto the least of these, you do unto me.
Right.
That's right.
Least of the precious poor and working class folk. It's the orphan, it's the widows, it's the oppressed, it's the degraded, it's the demeaned, it's the people that people give up on. Those start with, and that has been a crucial part of our freedom struggle for 400 years. And I'm just trying to keep it fresh and be a torchbearer. That's all.
Oh man,
And how
that's
can
dope.
y'all
So
frown upon that? Somebody, like, regardless, like I said, people like to conflict our religious beliefs and all it into just standing up and being good people.
That's right.
You can, like, I know Muslims, Buddhists, like I said, every show tick, we know Muslim, Buddhists, Hebrew Israelites, all types of people. The
That's exactly.
love for God shows through how you carry yourself in your work or the things you do. Simple.
absolutely,
Go ahead, Joe.
absolutely, and God is the forefront for this show here. I make that clear on damn near every episode. Without him, I
Right,
would not
right.
be. Without Jesus Christ in my life, I would not be who I am today. So I want to make that clear. Um, so it's a good thing that you spoke on the injustices, right? So here's my next question, and it's about justice reform. So since you spoke about it extensively, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you talk about the failures of the American criminal justice system, as president, what would be your first steps towards addressing systemic racism within policing, sentencing, and incarceration?
Well, for me, there's a connection between the ways in which Black people are suppressed and contained by the police and the ways in which we find ourselves poor and don't have enough money and don't have enough quality housing and education and safety in our communities. So, yes, the police must be rendered accountable. If they brutalize, if they murdered, they get a fair trial, they go to jail. But the larger issue is that we have to be able to create communities in which each and every one of us can flourish
Right.
and flourish out of self-respect and self-love. Then we
That's
also
right.
begin to generate forms of controlling ourselves and providing safety for ourselves, so we don't have to feel as if we're always being mistreated and victimized by too many police who often
Exactly.
outside of our community. Larger issue is if we can have full self-respect, self-determination, and self-defense, then we're in a situation in which we don't have to worry about police coming in, mistreating us, killing us, brutalizing us, and marginalizing us. You see.
Right. I agree because, I say this a lot, and outside of even talking about politics, this week is community week, and I wanted to bring a highlight to things in community that are important, right?
Right.
So I say this all the time, especially us Black men, we are the ones that are stopped by the cops most. My whole entire life, from the time I was able to go outside on my own. So, and I'll be real, that was around like 12, 13. So from the time I was 13 all the way until I left Philadelphia, which was 30. So from 13 to 30, I always been stopped by the cops. Um, so there's a certain disdain that a lot of us feel as Black men about police because we're racially profiled a lot. And, cleaning that up is something that's definitely important for our community. And maybe we could have good relationships with the police if it was to end, you know,
Right.
but, that's something that we haven't seen, but we long for. So, which leads to my next question, right? My next question is about farming and food security. Inflation and corporate consolidation has affected small farmers significantly. What steps would you take to support small farmers and people in underserved communities? What would you do for that?
Well, I tell you, I started my campaign ground zero, which is Mississippi. You got three ground zeros in the history of the Black freedom struggle. You got Mississippi, South Carolina, and North Carolina. I went to Mississippi in the name of Fannie Lou Hamer and got the endorsement of her party, Mississippi Democratic Freedom Party. And I was there actually connecting myself with Black farmers struggling for land ownership. You might know Brother Larry Lucas. You might know Brother Michael Stovall. They have been struggling for Black farmers for the last 25 years with the
Right.
Department of, and that Department of Agriculture has been facilitating agribusiness, which are the monopolies, pushing out the small farmers. And even when they designated $1.7 billion for Black farmers still got very little of it because white farmers would just hire some Black folk, act as if that Black face was the representation of a Black farm when it was really a white farm. And so the white farmers would still end up getting so much of the money. And so part of the issue here is, again, is making sure that you have leaders that you,
We're having that issue again, the in and out.
Right.
God, I'm so sorry, Otis.
It's not
It's
you.
all
I don't
right.
think it's you. I think it's this system, the system and how it's working. Last time it was YouTube. So, I really think that they're doing this, to flag some things because you're running for president, to be
That's
honest.
interesting.
Maybe I need to sing a song and I can do it. I can make my message with a song.
Right. So they could leave us alone so we could get this word out.
Exactly.
Right.
Luther Vandross. Boom, boom, boom. I'm talking about Black farmers and and grace.
Right. So let that
Yo,
go.
I love Brother West. He's so dope. He's so much himself. And I think that's something that we need for the country. We need people to be themselves and not be politicians more,
Right.
And if you could relate to that person, it feels more natural. But continue, brother.
No, both of you all are just so true to yourself. You know what I mean? You're true to yourself. But part of the problem is that everybody is for sale. And that in a culture in which is all about money, 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 and what Wu-Tang Clan say, what? Cream, cash rules.
Cash moves everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all.
That's
It's like, oh, look, let me put that down. That's petty.
it. If we can choose integrity, we can choose bravery, we can choose consistency. And that means then that we had to be true to ourselves and have the courage to be ourselves.
Right.
In all forms. Meaning
I
they
agree.
gotta. Can I just say this for 1 second? That if y'all listening to this king, the way that he's speaking, he's not separating people because he believes something or talking down on someone to lift himself up. And I feel like that is a very honorable trait because a lot of people use their time
Absolutely.
on media to tear down their opponents, to talk about all of these things. And the first thing that I notice is that you're not doing it. So I just want to commend you on your grace that you have during this sudden, this controversial, of course, just being independent and running for president. So I'm so happy that Tig brought you to my attention because it really made me look y'all up more, see what y'all got going on, and I know that this interview with y'all is going to do that for a lot more people. It will.
Absolutely.
Thank
That's the
you.
plan.
Powerful words, my dear sister, and I accept them. I embrace them. I really do.
And I can feel it. And when y'all speak, that's how you know when people, God's people, when they speak, oh, you feel it. You feel it in here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Right.
okay. We talked about the farming and food. Let's talk about inflation. How do you plan to tackle inflation while ensuring economic policies do not disproportionately affect low-income communities and marginalized groups. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, one is because I have a set of policies that would ensure that people would have free access to food, housing, and education. The very things that people are worried about when they think about inflation, they would already have available to them.
Right.
I'll give you an example. That the Aurora Party in Alaska. Now they came out and endorsed me. How come? Because there they have a program of basic income that people receive free basic income, so they wipe out much of their poverty. And having access to both the goods and some money means that people have less worries about the things that affect them most directly, which is food, shelter, and education.
Indeed.
Absolutely. So that leads to my next question. I was going to ask about education, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of history being taken out of schools,
Absolutely.
Black history, particularly about slavery and, our plight. What do you tend to do about that as far as the presidency? Like, what's your plan for that? I know that Senate really controls a lot, but how do you get the parties to come together to reverse these things that has been done as far as taking history that needs to be told out of the schools so it can be told?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, though, brother, because it has a number of different dimensions to it. On the one hand, we as Black people, we have to be able to tell the truth about our history in our families and in our churches and in our mosques, in our synagogues, not just in schools. You can't depend just on the schools to
That's
tell it.
right. It starts at home.
It starts in
Absolutely.
your own crib. It starts in your own neighborhood. It starts in your own networks. I learned a lot of history in the barbershop when I was growing up.
Right.
The brothers sit there and reflect on what they went through and so forth. But you have to have communities and you have to have bonds of trust, have to have ties of empathy and compassion so that
Right.
people are open to each other to pass on the knowledge and the insight and the inspiration to each other and one generation to another. So I'm not downplaying the schools. The schools must be accountable, but we can't put the heavy load on the schools. The schools ain't never told the truth about Black people.
Right.
Ever. You see what I mean? And that's true for any main stream. I mean, think of it this way in the history of music, because Black music is the greatest tradition of the modern world in terms
Indeed.
of moral courage. Curtis Mayfield, Sam Cooke, Sly Stone never won a Grammy, but Milli Vanilli won 2.
Girl,
So
you know it's girl, you
that
know it's
was
girl,
maybe
you know
choking on
it's,
what
and
the
then run off
prepared.
the stage.
They
Oh,
lip,
it's so funny.
God bless them, God bless, but they lip singing. So, but we know the greatness of Curtis Mayfield. We know the greatness of Sam Cooke. We know the greatness of Sly Stone. We don't need to have other folks somehow acting as if they're going to tell us the truth about ourselves.
Right.
No, no.
You gotta dig for knowledge. You
That's right.
do.
We dig and we go for it for ourselves and our families, in our communities, in our churches, and in our temples and in our synagogues. All of this, what Sister Jamie Foxx talking about in terms of all the different voices and traditions that constitute our community.
Exactly, y'all.
Oh man, that's true. That's definitely true. And to piggyback on that, I think that, we actually need that. We need the truth because the more the truth is told, excuse me, the more the truth is told, the more we can grow and heal from the past. Healing is definitely essential in order for everyone to come together. And if we face the truth head on, then we can move on.
That's
You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? So I
Even
believe
just,
that.
oh,
I
go ahead. I
definitely
didn't want to
believe
put
that.
you
And
on.
although I'm a rapper, a lot of people look at me like, "Oh, Tig, you're a rapper, this and that, this and that." Yeah, I'm a rapper, but my mind expands beyond rap music, and my
Exactly.
thoughts and my views on things expand beyond that.
Right.
So I'm a firm believer in Black history, Black culture, and caring for our people, but not just our people, everybody.
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? And I think that, like I said, if we do that, we can get along just fine, you know.
No doubt.
Okay.
Well,
You got
I was blessed to put out 3 hip hop albums.
Hey,
We had Talib Kweli starting things off. We had Rod Digger. We had Andre 3000,
what?
Bill Scott,
It's beautiful.
absolutely.
Gerald Levert's one of the greatest artists of his generation. Of course, we had Prince on there too. It's the only time Prince allowed
Yeah,
any.
Prince was a different type animal when it came to music.
Listen,
He's my dear
y'all
brother.
is not
I
lying.
traveled the world with that brother, but he allowed his music to be sampled on our album. But that was the only time he ever allowed his music to be sampled because he
Right.
attitude toward hip hop. And I say, brother, hip hop is as great and as significant as any other moment in the history of Black music. He
It
said
is.
he had his own little, views about it and so forth, but he was kind enough to allow us to use his music, our attempts to engage in some spoken word in hip hop. And I say that only because people can't have a stereotype of hip hop.
They do.
It's too many. It's a variety of different voices and things. Rhapsody. I mean, you got so much talent and
Right.
genius that's being manifest in variety of different ways.
Right. I
Yeah,
respect
I
that. I
agree. I
respect that.
agree.
I do.
So, okay, my next question. You've often spoken about your upbringing and how it shaped your values. Can you share
Right.
more about how early life experiences from your political philosophy and your approach to governance? Tell us about that a bit.
Yeah, these are some wonderful questions, though, brother. I got to kind of stop and reflect and ponder these
Right.
things.
Great, great. He on
Hey,
it. He
listen,
like,
I really sat down and really thought about these things because, you're running for the presidency. And one thing that I realize is that in order to touch people, you have to give them the real, you know?
right.
Right.
And I wanted to show us a side of myself as well. So although I wrote something in the introduction and it was a word I didn't understand,
Right.
I should have looked it up and I didn't because I was kind of like so excited that you were coming on, right? But when it
Right.
came to these questions, I really thought deep and I
Oh,
wanted to ask you these things so that people can get a better understanding of who you are.
Right.
absolutely. And I salute you. I appreciate that. And your deep thought comes through in both the question itself and also how you ask the question. Sister Jamie's point about the spirit as well as the letter. It's the spirit as well as the content. And the way you ask the question is such a beautiful thing. The way Sister Jamie
Thank
asked a beautiful thing. And it opens us all up to become more empowered and ennobled. Our attempt to be in the language of John Coltrane, North Carolina High Point and Hamlet,
Right.
his forces for good. How do you become stronger? Forces for good. And that's very much what running for the presidency is all about. How do you put precious poor people and working people at the center of your vision so that they're
Right.
an afterthought when it comes to politics? They're not just an afterthought when it comes to government and the economy. They need to be at the center of it.
Right.
That's what's up. So
Right.
here's my next question. How you feel about student loan debt? Are you for it? Are you against it? And what's your full synopsis on that?
I don't think there ever should have been student loan debt because I believe in free education.
Indeed, me too.
Education
I
ought to be.
believe in that as well.
It's free in England. It's free in Sweden. It's free in Canada. How come it's not free in the United States? Oh, people want to make big money on it.
Okay, okay. All right. What's your vision for America on foreign policy? Like, tell us a bit about that.
Well, I think that America ought to be a decent, dignified nation among nations rather than an empire that tries to have other nations defer to it. So I don't believe that we need to be the big bully on the
That's
block.
how I feel too, intimidating everyone or just make my biggest thing is in order for us to be able to lift each other up, whether like say this king is a doctor up here, y'all, this brother is a king. Like we should not be scared to speak about what we learned, what we believe in, or what we're striving for. So I'm all for you because I'd rather vote for someone such as yourself who at least learned their own way of who they wanted to be at. Excuse me, who they wanted to be and where they wanted to be at. Most people are still trying to find themselves or looking for direction based off people money or them lying to you. You need to go for people that y'all see in these communities really out there. Him and Medina are out there outside when y'all getting hurt. He was teaching in the jails, things that he
That's right.
technically don't have to do. But that's it, that's all.
No, I
All
think
right. So let's talk about affordable housing a bit more, right? You mentioned it, but I didn't ask my question. So I'm
mm,
gonna ask my question on that. Okay.
absolutely.
With Americans struggling to find affordable housing options, what's your vision for the affordable housing crisis?
Well, first, if we look at what's going on right now, you're seeing massive gentrification. And gentrification is those people with money from the middle classes coming in and pushing poor people out, pressure poor and working people out. People
Right.
unconcerned, they go. And when they come in, the prices go up, up, up. And the private equity companies that are buying a lot of these homes in order to sell them to make profit take us right back to where we started. It's money, 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 profit, profit, profit. You can
Right.
never have affordable housing for precious poor and working people if the only thing you're concerned about is profit. There has to be significant government support and subsidies to make sure there's quality housing for poor and working people. And it is a shame. It's a crime that we have 1.2 million American citizens who are homeless or unhoused. And
That's
black
true.
50% of them, we 13% of the population, we 50% of the homeless, just like we
Mm,
30% of the population and we 40% of the prisons. So we have got
mm,
to turn that around, and you turn it around by making it a priority. So you cut back
absolutely.
on, you make sure that the government intervenes and says we will protect these poor and working people, and we
Right.
will ensure they have access to housing, safe community, food, and quality education, and a job with a living wage. And we talk about the issue of labor and the need for minimum wage, a living wage.
Mm.
Okay, so with technology, to piggyback on, to keep the going on that, what you just said,
Yeah.
about the housing and employment, right? I want to go in on that a little bit. Um, with technology advancing the way it is, things are changing, robots are coming slowly but surely. How do you plan to tackle unemployment in underprivileged communities? Because they say, oh, black unemployment is down, But honestly, I'm going to say it like it is, as you know, we see it. They say that, and that's something that gets spread in media a lot. But those in the major cities are still unemployed, and they can't find a job. Even if they're qualified, they're still not getting hired. So how do you tackle that right there?
That's very real. I mean, one is that one of the ways in which they count unemployment when it comes to statistics is that they don't count people who are no longer looking for jobs. And so there's a whole group of people who are completely left out in those statistics. Poverty. You could be working 2 jobs and still live in poverty. And so because the unemployment is lower because somebody does have a job, somebody even has 2 jobs. If they still living in poverty, there's human beings beneath those statistics, and you have to keep track of how they're living, what they're dealing with, how they're suffering. And so the statistics oftentimes hide and conceal rather than disclose and reveal what's really going on in a community. And so
Absolutely.
when you put poor and working people at the very center of what I'm calling the least of these in the biblical sense, because I'm an unapologetic Christian brother. I just love my Buddhist, my Muslim,
Salute to you, brother.
everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just what I learned in Shiloh Baptist Church. That's what I learned in the West household, and I carry that. Oh, but I break. But I always.
Oh, he's doing it again.
Hold on. Try it again, because we can't hear you again.
Is it a little better
Say,
now?
yes,
There we
sir.
go.
There you go.
But I always look at the world through the lens of the least of these. How are they doing? Not the black face in a high place. I get to them later. I want to
Right.
know what Paul and Letitia are doing on the block in the hood, dealing with the police and dealing with all these different forces coming at them, the guns and the drugs. I want to make sure the sisters don't have to deal with the insecure brothers who's mistreating them. I want to make sure that everybody has a respect and everybody's humanity is affirmed.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Kingdom Assigned says we should love people no matter who they are.
That's exactly.
Or how they choose to go to God.
That's right.
Stop. Like, I want to tell y'all that that's something I see so much. That's why I always bring it up, because it's important for us to let people speak. We can't want higher ups and stuff to give us our rights and stuff when we take our rights away from each other too, if we don't allow each other to speak.
That is so very, very true. And part of it is we being honest with ourselves. That is to say, you take a brother like me out of the Christian church, I still conceive of myself having a close relation to Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali. And they are Muslims, but they're a part of me, and they love me, and I love them.
Right.
Concrete in the abstract. Bell Hooks, my dear sister, who I wrote books with, she's a Buddhist sister. Beautiful black woman, brilliant black woman, professor and writer and so forth. Her Buddhism is a part of her. My Christianity is a part of me. We are still one.
That's right.
And that would be true for my Jewish brothers and sisters. We got black Jews and all Jews of different colors. They are still part, and they go to God in their own distinctive way. They have their own faith and rituals and so forth. And I embrace them, and they embrace me.
Oh man, this is awesome. This is awesome. I want to say that, your answers are off the rocker. I gotta say that first of all. Secondly, I feel so comfortable talking to you because I feel like I'm talking to my uncle or somebody right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I'm
It
gonna be
really don't
real.
feel,
You know
it
what I'm
feel like
saying?
it's a conversation. It's y'all listen, y'all. I'm in this with y'all. I feel you.
Yeah. So I
Beautiful.
think that all of these things are very necessary. So, which leads to my next question. America is more polarized more than ever. How would you, as president, work to bridge these divides and create a more unified nation?
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons why the slogan of our campaign, this is myself, this is Sister Melina Abdullah, Dr. Abdullah, Comrade Abdullah, and all the others, is that we are dedicated to truth, justice, and love. So there's never been a campaign in the history of America that just came out and said, we about truth. And the condition of truth is to allow suffering to speak.
That's right.
Justice is what love looks like in public. Just like tenderness is what love feels like in private.
That's right.
We come from a black people at our best. Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, A. Philip Randolph, Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, Nina Simone. They were truth tellers and justice seekers, but they were also into tenderness.
To spread that. So can I just pick? I want to speak on that for a second to say we yesterday when we had Don Yala on here, who's a Hebrew Israelite. I said that to say he spoke on a lot of the things that you're saying about togetherness, about love, even having a hard life and then turning into something completely different. I just want to tell y'all it's not too late. It's not too late for change. I'm from Philadelphia, and the first thing someone said is, why are you promoting Cornel West? You're not even out there. Why do I have to be out there to support someone that is for us? That's it, that's all.
Right. There was definitely the slander going on our social media. It was definitely slander going on the social media. And I just did the sensible thing, which is block them and delete the comments. Because
Right.
we're here for positivity. We're not here for division. And that's not what this show is about. This show is about hip hop, like I said, and all other genres of music,
Genres.
not just hip hop.
That's right.
This is about music, period, but it's also about community. And I want people to have a sense of, yo, where can I get some information about things that I don't know? If I need it, this is the go-to spot. And that's what I want to create here, for all walks of life, no matter the color, black, white, Chinese, Indian, Asian, African, whatever.
Right.
But I care for our people in such a way where I have to be real and honest.
It's sick.
I have to be real and honest. And that's what I want to bring to the people. And that's why I wanted you on this show. And I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm thankful for Dr. Melina Abdullah as well, your VP candidate. And she came on here and shed some light on some things as well. I think you're an outstanding human being. You always have been. I think that you're one of the greatest thinkers of our time and one of the greatest philosophers of our time as well. And every time I see you on CNN or wherever you are, I'm so intrigued because you speak in a way with such authority. Even when they try to overtalk you, you still talk to them with such authority and love. Brother such and such, we don't gotta shout and all of that just to get our point across live on TV. And you'll tell them that, like, listen, I understand what you're feeling, but look, this is what I'm saying. And I always love that about you. You treat people with respect. You have so much class and dignity, and that's how you unify the country, with class and dignity.
Well, those words mean much. You honor my mama and my daddy when you say that, because I was reared in a certain kind of. I got proclivities to fight it every day. You know what I mean? You try to stay on the straight and narrow. But what I want to say to both of you all, because you all have a very special spirit. You got a lovely spirit, deep. Do not in any way get discouraged by anything anybody at you. Very, very much. Be of great courage And I've always felt, and I learned again from Shiloh Baptist Church, that you see, when you try to be thoroughly committed to truth and justice, you're gonna have a whole lot of enemies. Whole
Right.
and the question becomes, you don't become obsessed with your enemies. You don't allow them to be your point of reference. Your
Right.
reference is where you're headed, and your point of reference is the love you have for the people that you are trying to serve. And never love anybody, and especially never love black people in order for them to love us back. We love
Right.
black because they're worthy of being loved. If some of them don't understand, some of them misconstrue what you're doing, but you can still love them in terms of acknowledging they can be different, but you are accenting the best in them, whether they're accenting the best in themselves or not.
That's right. And that's one thing that I learned the more I read. Um, right now I'm actually, my wife and I, we're in the book of Ecclesiastes. And we
Oh, yeah.
talk. You know how it talks about in your youth, do everything that you wanted to do in your youth.
Right.
You know, and as I'm getting older, I understand what that really meant. Right. I spent so much time being in the streets, doing things in the street, pursuing a music career, but I didn't really start to really sit down and hone my own craft as an artist because I was so focused on so many other things, right?
Mm.
And now that I'm doing that and learning, reading, and doing what I'm doing now, right? I've come to realize that you can't get anything done without acquiring the knowledge first.
Right.
You have to acquire the knowledge first. And I said on a song called I'm Lit, I
Mm.
said, we can conquer and divide, but first it starts with love of self. If you don't love yourself, homie, how you gonna help someone else?
Exactly.
Got to
Yeah.
get the know-how to trauma, let it go now, taking care of your mental health and make you better down the road now.
Ooh,
So
rich. That's rich. That's a fresh word, though, brother.
Right.
yeah, I really believe that. So like as I'm growing and changing as a man, as a father, as a husband,
Hmm.
I'm starting to learn because I didn't have a daddy. I didn't have father figure. I had a father figure for a brief moment that he was out of the home, right? So all of these things I had to learn as a man on my own. And as I'm still learning, one thing that I realized is that knowledge, they say knowledge is power, but the Bible literally says it's not power. Knowledge, knowledge is wisdom, and life is wisdom.
Mhm.
The lessons that you learn, that's a part of your wisdom. So as you go on and you build a life for your family, your
Right.
community, you have to be ready to teach as well. So
That's
this is what it's really about for me. You know what I'm saying?
that's
This is what
powerful.
it's really about for me.
Can I
That's
And this is
piggyback
why
off what you
I'm,
said
I'm
real
glad that
fast,
you're here.
King? Brother, I want to say this to my brothers real fast. And knowledge is what you learn and wisdom is what you apply. And it's so
That's right.
important that
You
you
got to apply it.
understand that. Please, y'all, like we can't just learn no stuff is wrong and then just sit there and be okay with everything. And then the ones like
That's a
Brother
fact.
Cornell up here who stand up for it, talk down on him because he chose to go up here and do what some is scared to do. Because that's what it be fear sometimes that make us want to, dismiss or discredit people. But that's all.
oh, but that's crucial though, because you take us to the one virtue that
Right.
makes all the other virtues possible, which is courage. All talk about the word you but
Oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up again.
Did it again.
oh Lord, I'm gonna say that again though. My
Okay.
can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes.
Our dear sisters taking us to that one virtue of courage, which is required for all the other virtues. Love is a virtue, but if you are a coward, you'll never know what love is because you never take a risk, never be vulnerable, never be intimate with anybody. So you're locked into lust because lust is so easy, but love is the real thing. I,
Right.
I was blessed to write a song with a genius named Bootsy Collins out of Cincinnati, Ohio, walking down Parliament. We wrote a song called Love is a Threat. Love is a threat because if you live it on the surface, then the love come along. You don't have the courage to deal with it, and you don't have the maturity to deal with it if you live it on the surface. And so courage is the crucial thing for any talk about love or any talk about hope. You got to have courage to hope, courage to
You're
love, courage to think for yourself, courage to be in the world but not of the world, courage to cut against the grain. And part of our problem is because everybody's for sale, we got too many cowards.
That's right. And some people are afraid to shake the system.
Exactly. They're just scared.
Some
They just,
people
or
are
to
afraid to
humble
shake the system.
themselves. Because
absolutely.
some people are watching what activists and things like that do, but because they feel like they got an image to uphold or whatever may have you, they feel like they can't speak. You can still be a rapper, model, artist,
That's,
whatever you do, and stand for something.
that's right. That's,
And if
that,
we stay scared, we never going to get our full rights, meaning like really the freedom that America talk about.
that's exactly. Brother Martin Luther King used to say, I'd rather be dead than afraid.
Right.
He'd rather be a corpse than a coward. And that's extreme. Most people ain't gonna have the courage of Martin Luther King Jr. But at
Right.
least know what the standards are. As
That's right.
we know
That's
what
right.
they are.
That's definitely right. So I got one more question. Two more questions, actually. Okay. So, hmm. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to use these. I'm going to act straight from me.
Hey, okay,
Right?
hey, let's go.
Straight from not
Sit
what I
up.
wrote, but straight from my mind right now in this moment.
Right on.
Right? My next question to you is why should the people vote for you? And this is part of the one question before I ask my second one. Why should people vote for you? And how do you get the youth to want to vote more?
I,
That's the
I,
first question.
I mean, we got to recognize 40% of most Americans who could vote do not vote at all. They stay home. So the
Mm,
large number of folk that never vote, and that includes a lot of young people, but also middle-aged and older folk too, because when
Well,
they
how do
think,
we get them to vote as well?
well, you got to get inside of their skin and understand why it is that they're not voting, so you can
right,
speak to them and convince them and persuade them that they ought to go another way. They ought to think differently. Right now, they say, well, politics is just legalized bribery and normalized corruption. It's just people who are bought off. It's people who want to win the next election. You got, millions and millions of dollars in elections, all the money flowing, and people say, I don't want to be part of that mess. That's just corrupt. Well, they do have a point. So you got to get inside of their minds and you say, now I understand why you're not voting because you are against corruption. I'm trying to present an example and a campaign that is not into that kind of corruption.
right,
I'm in a campaign that will tell the truth about things that other people are afraid of. I'm trying to have a campaign that is honest when other folk are being dishonest or when they're lying. I'm trying to tell the truth. And once people can see that difference, they say, oh, maybe I ought to listen to this brother. Maybe I ought to give this brother a chance. Wow. Let me reflect. Let me examine myself. I
right,
need to re-examine myself and maybe change my mind. That for me is a crucial process of us speaking to folk as to whether they ought to vote for us or not, or vote for me or not.
So can I ask you one thing? That was amazing. That was his responses to this is such a genuine interview. It feels so natural. You simply
Absolutely.
being yourself, and that's more reason for me to sideline off what he's saying to vote for him because he didn't come in here putting on trying to think of something to say to make a wow factor. He is the wow factor. So y'all make sure y'all go follow him and Miss Melina on all social media and check out what they doing in the world.
That's,
Absolutely.
that's
And like I said, I would love to be a speaker if you need me to. If you need me to do anything on the ground, you know, I'm a call away. I'm a call away. I'm a text away. I'm an email away. Anything you need, anytime y'all want to come on and, say some words of positivity for the people, anything that you want to do, you're more than welcome to come on the podcast and talk your talk, brother.
Right.
You
well,
know?
but not just before the election, not just during the election, but also after the election.
After.
If
Exactly.
I can ever be of any help to you all, you just let me know. Because
All
we
right.
a long run. We are marathon runners. We not just sprinters.
Right.
All right. All right. I definitely will keep that in mind. And I thank you for your time.
Right.
Folks, we have reached the pinnacle of our show. So that leads to my last question. If there's anything life has taught you, what was that and why?
Well, I heard my dear sister Harris say at the Democratic National Convention, she said, the greatest story ever told is the American story. And I said, no, my dear sister. The greatest story ever told is the story about a Palestinian Jew named Jesus who was willing to go into a temple and run out the money changers in the name of poor people and end up on a cross in such a way that he was humbled on the one hand and provided an unbelievable gift to others. Then my dear sister Harris said, and the greatest privilege is being an American. I said, no, my dear sister, no, no, no. The greatest privilege is to love and be loved. And you can do that in Brazil, you can do that in Ethiopia, you can do that in Bangladesh, you can do that in India, you can do that in Lambertville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Tell the
Yeah.
truth. And when we talk about who we are, we got to come from the gut. We got to come from the soul.
Right.
Soul ain't nothing but the sharing of a soothing sweetness against the backdrop of a grim catastrophe. And
Exactly.
that's where John Coltrane comes from out of North Carolina. A level
Hey.
Right.
genius of soulfulness. And when he plays his horn, we are soothed and we are healed because he's given everything inside of
We
himself.
talk about that real music, okay? That's
Oh,
that real
Right.
music, y'all.
I'm telling you, I ain't got the LT yet.
Right.
That's definitely what's up. So I want to thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you on once again. And I thank you, man, because this was awesome. This was very awesome.
But both of you
And
all,
like I told you, I was a little nervous at first, but
oh,
yeah, that's Sister Jamie's art.
wow, look at that. That is magnificent, Sister Jamie.
King, I had to get
Yeah.
up with the names that you were saying. There go Queen Billie Holiday, Miss Lena Horne, Louis Armstrong. I just wanted to get up and show you a piece of art.
Is that
Cause
Charles? That Ray Charles over in the corner?
yes, that was.
Wow, that's
Yes,
big.
Mr. Ray Charles.
Ray Charles and the oh, God.
Yeah, this painting behind
Listen,
me,
your energy
I don't
made me
know if
want
you
to
can
get
see it
up.
that well. The painting behind me was done by the
Beautiful.
one of the owners of this building, Jeremiah Stubbs.
Oh
I'll raise
wow.
it up a little bit so you can see it a bit.
It's so beautiful. I see the music notes, all types of amazing style. I love the colors. It's beautiful. Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's magnificent.
So shout
I
out to
had to get
Jeremiah
up.
Stubbs. He's an author as well. He has books talking about the
Right.
racism in America and things like that. And I'll get you acquainted with that too, Dr. West. I'll send you, some information about him as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, thank
Ooh,
you. Thank you. Thank you
only
for
got
coming on.
your family, and like I say, be strong and steadfast and encourage and of great courage now.
I
Right.
will. I
Right.
will. Folks,
Peace.
Thank you, thank you, thank
we
you.
have Brother West on, presidential candidate, a gentleman and a scholar.
Right.
That's what we got here, So when you folks go back and look at this interview, you'll get a better understanding of who he is, what he intends to do for our country. And hey, I'm more than happy to do this interview. So with that being said, folks, until the next time, thank you for watching, and like, share, subscribe on the YouTube. Y'all know where y'all can find me on Instagram, _pot_with_Tigmatic_. My regular Instagram at
Right.
Tigmatic. Twitter, formerly now known as X, Tigmatic.
Dr. Cornell, squeeze in your Instagram for them real fast so they could go follow you.
Oh,
That's right.
Or we'll post it. How about go to the promo
You
and
can
click on
find
there and
Dr.
all of them
Cornel
are
West
there.
at Brother West on Instagram. At Brother
oh,
Cornel West
that's it.
on
That's it.
Instagram.
See,
Yeah.
Brother
And
Same
I'm
Tig
thing
the
for
knows
five
better than I
Facebook.
do.
two.
Brother Tig knows better than I
DAFOXX to the
do.
number 2.
I appreciate it. But I
Yes,
salute
y'all.
y'all. I love you, love you, love you now.
Love you
All
too.
right. Have a
Bye,
good
Brother
good
West.
day, sir.
Take good
Peace.
care. Take good care now.
All right. There you have
Hey,
it,
that
folks.
was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was. So there you have it, folks. We are out of here. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all know where to follow us. Stay tuned in till later tonight. We have the official peanut. So it ain't over. This a double bubble today, and we getting it popping. Yo, we got more coming, y'all. We stirring, we churning, we working, and we moving and booming.
That
Until next
part.
time, folks.